Oh my god, this guy is such a red flag, and not just because he's looking at us like that. Welcome to Date at the Cemetery, where your prize is murder. You gotta be careful not to make him love or hate you, cause bro's gonna get more excited than you are seeing how unhinged he can get. But anyway, here are the content warnings. Read them carefully, cause oh my god, I hate him. I hate him. Sometimes, dating in Colorado felt harder than it had any right to be. You'd searched in places no one should ever have to search. Like speed dating with a guy who looked twice your age and still lived in his mother's basement. Maybe it was the endless void of Tinder where every swipe led to the same dead-end conversations where it was clear most people only wanted one thing. You really did try, honestly, but despite all your efforts, you came up empty. That was until that night. You went to some overrated, overpriced warehouse party with bad lighting and ear-deafening music. Not exactly your scene, but your friends had practically dragged you there. Put yourself out there, they said. Meet someone new. Someone different, they said. And someone different it was. You just gone through a messy breakup, and let's face it, it's far too many nights spent single. You weren't exactly desperate. But it would have been nice. Nice to have someone to talk to. Someone to share a drink with. Maybe something more. Romantically speaking, of course. And that's how you met Avon. Though it wasn't exactly the stuff of fairy tales. Not in some our eyes met across the room kind of way or love at first sight. Oh no, you met him face first, practically body slamming him in your drunken sprint to the bathroom. Turns out that one shot too many in your lifelong lightweight status didn't mix too well. Who knew? But instead of brushing you off like any other shitty college guy would, he helped. He actually helped. Held your hair back like some knight in a slightly wrinkled flannel that's seen the wash way too many times to count. Made sure you didn't pass out on the cold towel of the bathroom floor as your lunch made its ever so grand reappearance in the toilet. He stayed until the room stopped spinning, or at least slowed down a little. Now, normally you don't give your number out to a random guy you've only known for the duration of a bad life choice. But after someone has literally held your hair while your dignity shot through your mouth, it would have been kind of rude not to. So here you are, in the car of a guy who helped you while you were involuntarily purging your stomach. What the fuck am I doing here? You must have been scowling because you were snapped out of your thoughts by a smooth and soft voice. What are you thinking about? You've got that far-off look. Like an angry cat. Wasn't that obvious? He stifled a small laugh, glancing you over slowly. Well, now you look confused. Are you planning an escape route or something? He was always so teasing, even over text after the party. Now was no different. Oh, me? Just think about how we met. It was an odd way to meet a date, that's for sure, but you wanted to give it a chance. The party, right? You could barely remember your own name. Wait, what was it again? He smirked, clearly teasing. You narrowed your eyes, but played along anyway. It's Lion. Right. Lion. Surprised he could remember it. You turned in offense, laughing in shock. Hey! First date and you're still teasing me? He chuckled and rolled his eyes, keeping one hand on the steering wheel. Putting his free hand up, he sighed in feigned defeat. First a habit, I suppose. I'll have you know, I excel at first dates. And hey, you haven't jumped out of the car yet, so that must mean you don't mind it. Kinda like a, knight in shining armor that doubles as a court jester. He said, thinking for a moment, keeping his eyes on the road now. Now I get the honor of spending the night with you? I must be on a roll. You rolled your eyes, but couldn't help the smile tugging at the corner of your lips. His confidence was ridiculous, borderline cheesy, but charming. The soft hum of lo-fi music played in the background, easing some of the tension in your chest. Something about Avon made it easy to breathe, made you feel safe. Even from the very beginning, when most people would have just handed you napkins and walked away, he'd stuck around. He always felt genuine, even if he was practically a stranger. Say, you into lo-fi? Hell yeah! Yes! Avon smiled. He seemed to like that. Nice. Knew you had good taste. You chuckled. Honestly, you'd be surprised how many people only listen to it for studying or background noise. But, I don't know. I find it calming. Helps clear the mental state a bit. You get me? Yeah, I can see that. It's kind of why I used to listen to a lot of bossa nova, like back during my college years. I smiled at him, considering his opinion. I get why you like it. He leaned back in his seat, red eyes half closed as the mellow beat filled the dark car, head bopping gently. So, where exactly are you taking me? A slight smirk played on Avon's handsome face. You'll see. It's a surprise. A surprise? You're not about to murder me in the woods or something, are you? Avon chortled at the idea. What? No! I don't even have a weapon on me. Relax. He's totally going to murder me in some nondescript area. The night breeze shifted past you as you took in your surroundings. You stared, confused, into the void of the unfamiliar parking lot. Wait, this is the surprise? A parking lot? I gave a nervous chuckle, trying not to seem rude. Not quite. There's that teasing tone again. We're getting there. Avon pointed just beyond the parking lot. There you saw large gates and a worn stone sign that read Denver, Colorado Cemetery? Is that the cemetery? Bingo. He looked back at me with a look of pride. You like it? Actually, hell yeah, I like how you think. You're taking me to a cemetery on a date. Not really, it's a bit scary, I'm a little nervous. You know what? Okay, you're not hot enough for me to go hell yeah. I mean, close, very close. But I have questions. My guy? Avon's face fell flat, smile of pride gone. He gave you a quick once-over and rolled his eyes. Well, I like it. It's romantic. It's fun. In a mysterious, spooky sort of way, you know? Think about it. Peaceful, quiet, no crowds, just vibes. I'm pretty sure those vibes are just like goosebumps like crawling up your back. Alone? Is he trying to flirt? Oh God, he's flirting. Avon noticed a sense of disgust on your face. He sighed and shook his head. Just don't knock it till you try it, okay? How condescending. Well, I did just kind of judge him. You attempt to give a warm smile. Yeah, great date idea. Just us and a bunch of dead people. Great listeners. Avon gestures you to follow him. Come on. It's not as weird as it sounds. Promise. He looks so excited. You and Avon walked along the misty pavement of the parking lot. You slightly behind, shoes crunching the gravel beneath them. As you followed along, it felt as if the path got dimmer and dimmer. The gate ahead looms, like it belongs in some sort of gothic novel. It all feels so off, but only for a moment. A small spider skitters across the toe of your shoe. You freeze, taking in a sharp breath, then continue walking a little stiffer than before. You quickly latched onto Avon's arm without thinking. Avon stiffens in shock as he looks over you. You okay? Letting go in embarrassment, you sighed with a nervous chuckle. Yeah, just didn't really expect this kind of vibe tonight. I can see that. His face softened slightly and gave you a gentle smile. Don't worry. I'll make sure you have a good time. Want to hold my hand? I'll take his hand. You gently took his hand with a grateful smile. It's warm and steady, like it's guiding you. Something about that brings you comfort. There we go. His genuine smile puts you at ease. I promise, I won't let any spiders slip under your skin. You laughed at his morbid joke. His touch felt grounding, even if it's for a fleeting moment. Appreciate it. We can leave that to the corpses. Despite your own joke, you shivered at the thought. So gross. You scrunch your face up in playful disgust, your head leaning on his shoulder with a sigh. Yeah. Avon's voice trailed off, as if he were daydreaming about something. The path still feels eerie, but somehow less alone. His thumb rubs against the top of your hand as you walk. It's subtle, but comforting. You two continue to walk along the gravel path, the gate behind you fading into the dark. Your eyes travel down to his chest, catching a glimpse of his necklace. You were surprised you didn't see it before. Hey, where'd you get the necklace? Avon hesitated, tensing up at the sudden question. Such a sudden interest. Well, it was my dad's, originally. As he averts his gaze, the air suddenly felt thicker. Is it real? Like, genuine? Avon snorted at your question. It's not Shein or anything, if that's what you mean. It's actually from a cult. Pardon? You stopped in your tracks, taken aback by a statement. Was he in a cult? What the fuck did you get yourself into? You're in a cult. There's no way, right? Avon laughed at your reaction, genuine, but now he was slightly guarded. Not in the way that said he was self-conscious, just as if he was avoiding a really awkward conversation. No, not me. Not by a long shot. So you run the cult. He's still laughing. But my dad was. Oh. And, the apple doesn't fall too far. I'm not in a cult, but I am a Satanist. It's kind of cool, honestly. Well, that's boring. I mean, it's so quirky. Satanist. God, what a red flag. I'm more like in real life. I would have definitely asked him more questions about this. Like, I wouldn't immediately fall head over heels. I would genuinely just ask about it, because Satanists do fall into several different categories. There are so many categories of it. And I have a feeling the dev is leaning more towards traditional Hollywood style Satanism. I'm not entirely sure. I don't want to assume, but let's go for the first one. It's kind of cool, honestly. Mysterious with a dash of daddy issues. Avon paused, watching you for a moment as a smile slowly creeped on his face. I have a feeling I'm going to regret going on this round. His voice was low, very amused at your response. Exactly the vibe I was going for. Avon laughed and leaned in close, a content smile on his face. I'm not going to be a sacrifice, am I? You get it. Most people don't. They don't always like it. Somehow you two felt closer now. Not just physically. I like the people who aren't afraid of things like that. It's rare, Really rare. His eyes lingered on you a second too long, as if he were weighing something behind them. He gave you a smile, one that almost felt too gentle. Honestly, that may be what I see in you. The first thing you saw of me was me throwing up all over, the bathroom stall. What are you going on about? Why I took you out here. Let's be for real. No one would go on a date with some stranger they met 2 days ago at a warehouse party. About that! But I think you see people, The words feel flattering. Intimate even, but there's something heavy beneath them. Really? You look at him with bright eyes. You think that about me. You smiled at his words. Mm-hmm. Unless I'm wrong, of course. There's that playful tone again. I guess we'll learn that together now, won't we? Avon turned his face away, hiding behind his fringe, so you could hear his breath hitch slightly. Deciding to change the topic, you cleared your throat. As you walk beside Avon, your eyes drifted downward, drawn by the way his fingers toy with the pendant around his neck. Did I wake some of y'all up? I don't know why I've turned that into a bit. I don't know why. It's a St. Peter's cross, dangling loosely from a blackened chain. He's pinching it between his thumb and index, rubbing it in slow circles like it soothes him. But it's not the necklace that's keeping your gaze this time. It's his hands. The skin around his nails is torn, raw, jagged, like he's been picking or biting at it for a while. Your hands. What happened? He freezes for half a second, just long enough for you to notice. Then he exhales a small laugh, too sharp to be casual. Ugh. That. He keeps walking, but shoves his hands into his pockets as if he were a child caught with his hand in the cookie jar. I bite them sometimes when I'm stressed. Or thinking too much. His tone shifts slightly. It was quieter, distant, like the words are drifting somewhere darker than he's currently willing to show you. Have you been digging through graves? You nod, the path crunching under your steps, and don't press further. You want to ask what too much means, but something tells you, you really don't want the answer. So instead, you walk beside him in silence, Avon humming softly under his breath, the pendant still swinging from his neck like a pendulum ticking down to something awful. The soft curve of the cemetery path crunched beneath your feet as the silence between your steps grew lighter. As the path faded into patchy grass, you noticed something just ahead, laid out like a dream. Oh, sick! I kind of like what they did with the backgrounds for this. A blanket, snacks, and a couple of drinks, all neatly placed in the clearing between old headstones. You paused in front of the admittedly romantic display. Wait, was this already here? When did he have time for that? Avon glanced over with a crooked smile, as if caught. Yeah, I like to be prepared. How prepared are you? Yeah, really prepared. You stare at the picnic ahead in surprise. How long did it take for him to do this? He gave you a charming smile, taking your hand, guiding you to the blanket. He sat with his legs stretched out comfortably, hands falling beside him like this was routine. Over the years, I've gotten used to setting things up in advance. It's a habit of mine. Sometimes I don't always get much time to plan, so when I can, I'll make it count. His voice dipped lower, like he was remembering something, but he didn't elaborate, and you weren't sure if it was really a place to push. You slowly sat beside him, still eyeing the picnic-like setup. So, what is all this anyway? You nod to the blanket and the small spread of food and drinks laid out. Are you trying to romance me or put me into a food coma? You inch closer to Avon, getting comfortable. Avon chuckles, getting comfortable in his position but not pulling away. A little bit of both, maybe? Let's see. Avon reached out to grab a bag of chips. We've got chips, plain and spicy, sweet and sour, candy, a couple homemade pastries, sweet ones. Nothing too fancy. Letting go of the item in his hand, he taps the small cooler near the center. Then water, juice, soda, few energy drinks, if you're into that. You made the pastries? Avon grinned. What? You think I'm all graveyards? I could bake. Please don't tell me you baked it in the graveyard. Please don't tell me you just have like an oven and like, I don't know, a prep station somewhere in this graveyard. Like, I won't be surprised, but still. He chuckles to himself. Badly. But it still counts. You glance at the food again, then back at him, an appreciative smile on your lips. This is actually really thoughtful. Like I said, I like to be prepared. You should never forget that. Why do I feel like that's foreshadowing? So, drinks. What's your pick? Water, juice, soda, energy drink. I live dangerously. What would you pick? No. Energy drink. I live on the edge. You grab a can and raise it like a golden treasure. If I'm gonna hang out in a cemetery, might as well do it wired on some caffeine, eh? Avon laughs, both impressed and mildly horrified. His expression just now did not tell me that he was impressed. This late? Shit's gonna kill you, but whatever rows your boat, alright? He watches you take a sip with mock awe as he grabs a can of juice. If you start tweaking, though, I'm taking photos. Avon takes a long sip of his own drink, as do you. That hit the spot. You looked over at the rest of the setup, eyeing the snacks laid out. Okay, be honest. Are you trying to be romantic or just fan me up for a ritual sacrifice? Avon grins at your question, lounging back on his hands without breaking eye contact. Can't it be both? I think that's the best kind of romance. I think you need therapy. He waves a hand over the snacks. Alright, menu time. Sweet candy, that one's calling for me. Sour candy, I like the pain. Pastries, you baked. Now I have to judge you. Chips, safe and salty, yummy too. What's your go-to? Ooh, give me the pain. Well, okay, fine. The look on his face tells me that he didn't like my choice. Pastries. You baked. Now I have to judge you. You take one small, uneven pastries and raise a brow. Avon smirks, but looks a bit self-conscious. Come on now. Be gentle. They were made during a psychotic episode or two. Despite his slightly concerning comment, you take a bite. Also, bro, have you considered going to therapy? It's actually good. Soft, sweet, and surprisingly, not a crime against humanity. It's impressive for someone who sucks at baking. Avon hums, proud of himself. As time passed, you ate snacks and spoke about various things. Sometimes it was about nothing. Sometimes it was an actual topic. Overall, you were both enjoying yourselves and each other's company. You couldn't help but wonder, though. How do you even get in here? Aren't you worried about getting caught or something? You were nervous of the idea of a security guard catching you both out here. Avon chuckled, rubbing his shoulder. Not really. Trespassing's never been a big enough deal for me. Back when I was younger, some friends and I used to sneak into way worse places. Abandoned factories, rooftops, train yards. So you're an urban explorer, then. Avon's gaze shifted to the side for a moment. Yeah, a few houses, too. He laughed to himself, as if it were just harmless nostalgia. We got into a bunch of other illegal shit. Still do sometimes. You eyed him with a wary look, brows raising. That's not the only thing raising. I have several red flags going off at the same time, and it's not ooh, he's really hot sort of red flags. It's I need to get the hell out of here red flags. But he just grinned wider. Relax. That's not why we're here tonight. In some places this is very illegal. He gestured loosely to the graves around you. I actually work here. Funeral homes out of it. Or morgue, depending on what sounds spookier to you. So they don't really care when I come in or out, as long as I don't piss anyone off. Dig up a grave or mess with a coffin or two. He laughed again like it was a joke. You weren't sure it was. You tilted your head, taking that in. Most people wouldn't go near a morgue, let alone work in one, but he seemed unfazed. You work at a morgue? Wait, for how long? Avon hummed thoughtfully. 5 years. Would have started sooner, but I got caught up in some things after high school. Avon sat upright, gazing at the full moon. Please don't tell me you're gonna start howling. The morgue doesn't bother you. Or are you like a receptionist or something? That made him actually laugh. No, I do the full works. Embalming, cleaning, prepping, down to the nitty-gritty. Death doesn't really bother me. Never has. He looked at you, and for a second, something flickered behind his eyes. It's all natural anyway. Plus, he bit his lip slightly, a strange glint in his expression. I quite like it. You like death. You hesitated. Or your job. He giggled, quiet and low, leaning back on his elbows and turning his face away from yours. Bit of both. That's honestly fascinating. Not many people can handle death so closely. It's kind of a weird thing, not gonna lie. Well, so not only are you a corpse stylist, you're like a hot Grim Reaper. I need to. I'm not gonna read that again. Avon burst into genuine laughter, falling back onto the blanket with a soft thud. God, that's a first. He turned his head to look at you, a warm, if slightly wicked grin still on his lips. But yeah, guess I am the hot ambassador of death in a way. He giggled at the idea. Yeah, I should put that on my resume. You laughed too, so a part of you still wondered if he'd actually put that on his resume. The silence between you grows. It's not hostile, but cautious. You glance at him, watching the way he stares ahead, expression unreadable now. The blanket is spread out in the grass, the soft clink of drink bottles, the faint rustle of candy wrappers, and the hum of distant wind fill the air. Wow, all this eating had me thinking. Haven't really asked too much about you. You know, besides work and you saving my ass from further embarrassment. Avon leans back on his hands, giving you a slow grin. Yeah, common hobby of mine. But besides parties, cemeteries, and, saving drunks? He side-eyed you for a moment, stifling a laugh. I've actually got some surprises up my sleeve. Like collecting old trinkets, exploring abandoned buildings, watching banned or illegal films. Honestly, based on that. Wait a minute. What sort of banned or illegal films are we talking about here? Because on one hand, you've got the ones that are made by various activists and basically really underground indie films. On the other hand, you've got live leaks. Which one? Stuff like that. He seemed proud of his spread of hobbies, a smile stretching on his face. I'm putting money on the fact that he watches a lot of snuff films. I'm putting money on that. You seem like the grimy type, huh? There's a low hum in Avon's throat. Actually, I really like cleaning. Obsessively. Back when I was still with my dad, he kinda stopped giving a damn, so I picked up around the house. I'd say it's a good hobby for a mortician, you know? Just another part of the job. Wow. Polar opposite interests, huh? You breathed in mild amusement as Avon raised a brow like you challenged him. What? No. I have normal hobbies too. He shifts, turning fully towards you, the corner of his mouth pulling into a smirk. You probably caught on that I liked lo-fi earlier. But I also mess with making candles. It's pretty fun. That and I go up in the mountains pretty often to ski or snowboard. Okay. How many more hobbies are we going with here? Man, I do love it. Just the wind, speed, crunch of the snow. It's dangerous, sure, but that's what I like about it. You listened to him with interest, smiling as he spoke about his hobbies. Avon smiled back before averting his eyes. He clicks his tongue in thought, voice soft and unsure. Yeah, the mountains are kind of my thing. You tilt your head, about to respond, but Avon opens his mouth first. You cut him off. I'm sorry. He blinks, then chuckles, waving you forward to go ahead. No. Go first. You nod slightly before speaking teasingly. So, candles. Never would have thought someone like you would be into making candles. Avon laughs, eyes flicking away with a sheepish smile. Yeah, the doctors say it's nice to have a soothing, calming hobby. What? He looks back at you, catching your shocked expression, then bursts into laughter. I'm joking. Rolling his eyes, he continues, his tone softer now. When I was younger, my baby sister, Arden, I actually loved them. It was a nice distraction from, well, our parents constantly bickering. His fingers tap idly on the blanket as he speaks, like he was keeping count of his thoughts. I used to just watch her and my mom make them. Avon's face loosened in melancholy. Honestly, I thought it was dumb at the time. Candles. Who'd care, right? He exhales through his nose with a nostalgic smile. Then, one night, she had to make one for school, show and tell. Mom was working late, Dad refused to help, so there I was in the kitchen, trying to make sure she didn't get burned by the wax. He shook his head quietly, lips parting only slightly before swallowing the emotion that threatened to come out. Instead, he murmured a laugh. She's only 2 years younger than me, but I knew my parents would kill me if I let her hurt herself, so I helped. And I just kept a hobby since then. He hummed in acknowledgement as he coughed to wave off any lingering awkwardness. Though it wasn't awkward for you at all, he must have felt that way himself. You smiled fondly at his awkwardness, finding it endearing. You shifted uncomfortably, letting out a shiver and curling in slightly, hands wrapping around yourself as you huffed out a warm breath of air. I didn't dress as warm as I thought I did. Oh well. You laugh, small and breathy, trying to downplay the visible shiver that ran up your spine. Avon snickered quietly. Well, there is an extra blanket. He reaches over in front of you to grab it on the other side of the makeshift picnic and hands the soft roll of cloth to you without a word. Gently taking it, you bring the fabric to your face, inhaling the scent without thinking about it. It was nice, soft and inviting, homey even. Unrolling it, you tugged it around your shoulders, slowly, cuddling into it before holding open the other end for Avon. Avon's body stiffened as he realized what you were offering. What? Get in here. Okay. Avon crawled over into the blanket, settling in close enough to feel each other's warmth. You couldn't help but let out a giggle at his flustered and awkward state. So, does the blanket smell nice? You looked at him, face red in embarrassment. Yeah. Sorry. Avon chuckles. Don't worry about it. I'm glad you like it. I try to keep everything smelling nice, you know. House, car, myself, and even blankets, I guess. You both fell into a small fit of giggles. Though some people say walking into my house is like walking into a bath and body works. He lets out a giggle, snort at his own joke. This was nice. It was weird that despite everything, you still laughed, but the mind has an odd way of handling things. Maybe it was the blanket, or the way Avon said it. Oh hey, there's nothing wrong smelling like a candle owl. The wind carried the soft rustle of tree branches, and in the distance, the quiet chirp of crickets tried to fill the silence of the cemetery. For a moment, things felt peaceful. Avon's smile tightened into a playful joy. I think that's the nicest insult I've gotten all week. You hummed in acknowledgement. But I'll have you know that scent is called midnight smoke in cedarwood. Thank you very much. Very masculine. Very mysterious. You burst into a quiet laugh, muffled slightly by the blanket. Really? That was vanilla and cherry blossoms. He rolled his eyes, but the corners of his mouth curled up into a smile. I know. Guess I like the idea of comfort. It's nice, when everything else isn't. Feels safe, you know? Well, I guess that's true, and It's working. The blanket, the smell, the whole dead people picnic vibe. Kind of cozy in its own way. He turned towards you, his smile softening, eyes meeting yours. Yeah? He paused for a moment, genuinely curious, his hand reaching out slowly, settling on the curve of your cheek. You feel safe with me. You paused, feeling his eyes on yours. The question lingered in the air, not heavy, just delicate. You didn't flinch. Instead, you gave a small laugh as heat rose up your neck. Tilting your head, you looked towards him with a half smile. I mean, so far you haven't pushed me into a grave, so that is promising. You weren't sure if you fully believed yourself, but better safe than sorry. Avon let out a slow chuckle, shaking his head at your joke. Such high praise. What can I say? My standards are dangerously low. Avon's eyes glanced off to the side, a smirk tugging at his lips. Well, you did give me your number after throwing up. Dang, it was out of the kindness of my heart! Plus probably the closest thing to a fairy tale in the city. Or nightmare. You wondered what he meant by that, but decided not to push and brush it off with a laugh. So I hate how relatable Avon is. I know what sort of person he is, and he's giving off all the red flags. And I'm so curious to see just how far he's gonna go with this. Had one too many of those to count. But seriously, this place is kind of weirdly pretty at night. I didn't think I'd ever say that about a cemetery. Avon sat up for a moment to properly lay on his side and face you. Yeah, it's quiet, peaceful. Plus, no one ever complains about the music or other sounds. You laughed, pushing his shoulder. Ew! Calming down, you sighed. So, this is your idea of a romantic evening, huh? Smirking, he nodded. Dead silence, cozy blanket, and probably a ghost or two. Classic. You shook your head, laughing softly at his ghost comment. Stupid. The shift in tone was welcome, like slipping back into a familiar rhythm, and for now, neither of you dug any deeper. The two of you sat in the silence, your shoulder nearly brushing Avon's. So, tell me something. What do you do when you're not judging people's candle scent choices and getting dragged to graveyards by questionable men? You smirked, pulling the blanket tighter like it helped you think. You mean besides silently questioning my life choices? Avon grinned with a chuckle, leaning into you. Well, yeah. I mean, I've got hobbies, sort of. I read sometimes, draw a little, exploring here and there, spiral emotionally on the weekends, the usual. Avon laughed, looking up at the sky. Oh yeah, can't forget about those. You both shared a snicker before falling into a comfortable silence. So, do you like Colorado? Avon blinks as if the question caught him off guard. Then he lets out a breath and a chuckle. That's a sudden shift. Yeah, well, not everything has to be about death and trauma, right? He tilts his head, considering you for a moment. Then his expression softens, just a bit. Fair enough. Yeah, I like it. The cold's a bitch, but the mountains make up for it. Have you always lived here? Avon shook his head. Nah, I was actually born in Mexico. Mexico? Really? He hummed it in confirmation. Near Mexico City. My mom moved us up here when I was about 4. Said the air was cleaner. He rolls his eyes at that, clearly quoting. Not sure if she meant that metaphorically or literally, but here we are. You nod slowly, taking that in, and his dad immediately got wrapped up in a cult. Do you remember anything from back then? Bits and pieces? The language stuck more than the place, though I barely use it now. There's a moment of silence again, but this one feels easier, like less of a pressure and more like a shared pause. Avon takes a sip of his drink before speaking. What about you? Born and raised, or did you crawl out of some haunted crypt nearby? Well, born and raised, I guess. Boring, I know. Boring isn't so bad. Just means you've had time to figure yourself out. Strange, isn't it? What is? How nice it is talking with you, despite not really knowing each other. You nodded in agreement. He was opening up, but so were you. It was nice. He hummed and thought. Are you normal? I don't think anyone is, really. Yeah, just gotta look hard enough. Avon's eyes glanced you over, giving you an expectant look as his eyebrows raised ever so slightly. But then he looked away, foot tapping in thought. I mean, I know I'm not. Avon giggles for a moment, softer this time. I fully get people pretending they are. I would be a hypocrite if I didn't. Just wish I didn't have to. Can be tiring. He speaks of normalcy, like it's a bitter word on his tongue. Do you want to be normal? I don't think you're so bad. Abnormal is refreshing. Normal's overrated. Anyways, dude. Avon raised an eyebrow, intrigued. His grin is crooked. Too pleased. You know, I think you're right. I kind of think people try too hard to be normal. Put on a mask. I like being myself. Your words brought warmth to his chest as he relaxed. Yeah, me too. Avon thought for a moment. I was thinking, and I find it surprising still. You, still here, talking to me, even listening. I think I get it now. He smiled appreciatively. You two sat in silence for a moment, watching as the gray clouds passed by the wind of Colorado, passing you by. Yeah, I was thinking about the whole thing with your family, and I can't help but be a little jealous. Avon looked at you in concern, his eyebrows raising in shock for a moment. You quickly realized your own words and stammered to clarify. Whoa, I mean like, you and your sister, my bad. Avon nodded with a small huh and thought for a moment. Well, do you have any siblings? You waved off the idea. No, but it would be fun if I did. Avon chuckled. Yeah. You lay beside him, eyes drifting once more to the inverted cross pendant resting on his chest. The St. Peter's cross glints faintly under the moonlight. You hesitate, then speak softly. You've talked about your dad, but not much about your mom, or your family in general, besides the candle stuff. Avon's gaze didn't leave the sky. His thumb instinctively moves to the pendant, pressing it lightly. My dad? Well, you already know. Cult stuff, anger, the whole cocktail. My mom wasn't really around. Not fully. Avon huffed through his nose at the memory. She had this affair with a man. Not like some midlife crisis either. It was long, ongoing. My dad knew. She never left him, though. Your dad was a cook? Eventually, she did. Not legally, of course. They're still married on paper. Isn't that something? Either desperate to escape my father or desperately in love. I never knew. At the time, I was too young to really understand. Shaking his head, he continued as you listened with soft eyes. She did eventually have a kid, though, when I was about 2, right before we moved here. Things were fine, and I didn't suspect a thing. Too young to. Then, my dad got more violent. Wait, so your sister's your half-sister? Oh, shit. Angry. Drunk. Abusive. He chuckles, humorless. I tried so hard to make her happy again. I would stay up all night, doing my homework, studying, getting the best grades. She always stressed the importance of it. Would say things like, don't worry about mommy, Habibi. Just focus on your studies and I'll be fine. Avon laughed sadly. I believed her. Thought that, even when she was getting the lights knocked out of her, my grades of all things would fix it. Man, was I naive. Avon sighed as you listened. My sister. Half-sister? Whatever. Mom took Arden and ran when I was around 10. Left me with my dad like I was part of the problem. Or just too much effort to pack up. Can you believe the guy actually moved up here too? Avon rolled his eyes at the thought. She'd check in sometimes, bring groceries, see how I was doing, or when I got in trouble, but my dad barely cooked. When I was about 14, she hardly came around anymore. More like once every other month. Dad didn't give a fuck either. Probably too drunk to. Sometimes just too sadistic too. I went hungry a lot. Ate spoiled or raw food until I finally taught myself to cook. Money wasn't the issue. It's not like we were broke. They just stopped caring. My dad raised me to be detached, I guess. Like emotions were a weakness. He wanted me to be just like him. Occasionally put his hands on me and talk down to me like I was scum. Probably the worst thing he could have done. He never really saw how much damage that shit caused. But watching him beat my mom, Avon spaced out as if dissociating. Yeah, that left a scar big enough on its own. He didn't say anything at first, just let the silence settle between you. Avon stared ahead, eyes unfocused, jaw clenched, but not angry, just distant, lost in memory. The wind moved through the cemetery trees again, brushing through branches and trees and stone like the dead were listening. You spoke quietly. You okay? He blinked, like he'd forgotten you were there, head turning slightly towards you, then away. Yeah. I'm good. He let out a quick breath, shaking his head lightly as if trying to snap himself back, pulling the blanket that was wrapped between you both closer into his body. Shit. Sorry, Lion. That probably got a lot deeper than you expected, huh? He smiled, trying to lighten the mood, but it was more like a mask than anything. It's okay. You kept your tone steady as you smiled. I don't mind. For a moment, his shoulders relaxed. Not much, but it was enough. So, what about your sister, Arden? Avon glanced at you, brow furrowing, just a little. My sister? We're not that close anymore. Really? Avon hesitated for a moment, eyes drifting away from you again, looking at the old and cracked headstone. It's not because I don't want to be. It's probably just better this way. His thumb rubbed absent-mindedly into the blanket. We text a lot, though. Talk here and there, send memes, pretend things are normal. He gave a small, hollow chuckle. Anything but that, huh? Yeah, I think I just wish we had a real childhood. Like one of those cliché ones with bike rides and birthday parties. I don't know. Warm kitchens or something. So like a Hallmark movie? He shook his head gently with a scoff, like he should push the image away before it got too vivid. She used to visit me when I was younger, after she and Mum left. Sometimes she'd stay a few nights, sometimes a few weeks. I used to count the days until she'd come back. I mean, yeah, she's your sister. His voice got more distant now, as he swallowed thickly. I got really attached. Mentally, I mean. Probably more than I should have. He seemed to struggle to look at you after that, staring down into his hands. Anyway, we hang out every now and then. Grab food, walk around. It's good. It's good. Just not the way I imagined it when I was a kid. He exhaled slowly. Back then, I thought when I got older, we'd just fix it all somehow. Well, do you have any friends? Ow! How mean! You laughed, giving him an apologetic smile. But yeah, I do. So, I'm not sure if you could call any of them friends. Tell me about your high school friends. Tell me about your high school friends. High school friends? He thought for a moment, gathering his thoughts. Well, I've actually known Tusk and West since middle school. We weren't the best kids. Definitely not saints. Not even close. We used to mess with this kid, Xander, actually. He used to be scrawny, quiet, too nerdy for his own good. Easy target. Kinda looked like a kicked puppy most of the time. A thing we just wanted to see if he'd snap. He never really did. Avon laughed as if remembering a fond memory. There was this one time, up on the school rooftop. It was my idea, obviously. I thought it'd be funny, giving him a little push, a shove. Dumb move, but we were kids. He went right over the edge, broke a bunch of shit, his arm, his ribs, maybe his pride too. Still breathing though, so not a big deal in the long run, right? You stared in shock and absolute terror. Fuck no, get me out of here. What? Avon looked at you, right in the eye, but he quickly moved on instead of explaining himself. He simply laughed it off. Anyway, high school came around and somehow we ended up friends with him. I suggested it, of course. Said it'd be good to keep him close. At that point, he'd fit in right. After a bit of rewiring, Xander had been changed into something harder, more useful, easier to laugh with. No! 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 Oh, that is so fucked up. Oh, hell no. Oh, hell no. And he had potential. You wonder what he meant by potential. They all started hanging out more, studying, crashing at each other's places. They always got the best grades. Tusk was all about football, lifting and yelling about Griff. It was either that or superheroes. Oh, grit. I thought it said Griff. Jesus. West was a sugar bomb with leg adrenaline driven. Jittery hands, big dumb heart, always down to try anything if you framed it right. I found it funny. Took advantage of that more than once. I don't like this man. And I think that's the point. I feel like that's kind of the point with, oh God, what's his name? I feel like that's the point with Avon, where like he is an absolute red flag. He is absolutely the worst. He is the villain. And it's up to you whether you want to like romance him or not. Oh, I hate him so much. There was this night at my house. Wes dropped a cup. Plastic. Not even glass. My dad lost his shit. Slammed it so hard, the wall shook. Oh my God. Poor West. Looked like he'd seen God. Your brows furrowed in concern. The hell? What happened? I laughed. What else could you do? Tusk didn't, though. From then on, he'd bring juice boxes over like Wes was some toddler. Thought that was sweet, in a sad kind of way. Not that it mattered. Bro, like, me ask you to go to therapy was a bit, but now, like, I feel like you really need to talk to someone, and I am not the person for it. I will just enable you, and I've got a track record of doing that. They stopped staying overnight not too long after that. You guys stayed friends. Well, college split us up, kinda. Not really. I switched majors. Was gonna be a nurse, but that got boring. Now, I'm in cybersecurity. Makes more sense, right? I like breaking into things, so felt like the right thing to do. Tusk still plays football, drinking his weight in cheap beer, studying something with dead frogs and scalpels. Biology studying frat bro. West, he's doing journalism. Wants to tell stories. Kind of funny considering how many of ours he'll never ever touch in 1,000 years. He knows when to keep his mouth shut. Usually. I'm getting my master's now, though. Still top of the class. Still ahead of the game. Xander, Still following along, though we're hardly in contact like we used to be in high school. I feel like there are some people out there who kind of ship you two, and it's questionable, but I respect you for your choices. Avon thinks as a flicker of betrayal crosses his face. Tell me about your acquaintances. Avon giggles as if someone already popped into his head. This girl, Calbat, and I go way back. High school. She used to hang out with Xander, actually. I think they were lab partners or something in middle school. Funny, right? She hated me. Still kinda does. Said I gave her a bad feeling the first time I spoke to her. Told her that, well, that was just first meeting jitters. We weren't friends. Not back then. Soon enough, we both needed cash. Her mom was sick. Really sick. She didn't talk much about it, though. But it hung on her like a weight. Me, I had my own mess to deal with. You know, angry dad, mom bailed, bill stuck you up like bones. We both needed a way out. So we made one. Started small, contracts off the darknet, nothing huge. Just hacking. Some light blackmail, data dumps. We were good together. You raised your eyebrow. Bro, why are you admitting to so many crimes? Not the first time I've dated someone like this. He rolled his eyes and smirked. Not in a romantic way. Calm down. Just efficient. She knew how to code, how to keep her mouth shut. I respected that. I feel like I am not the right person. I may or may not be the right person for you, because on one hand, who the hell am I going to tell your secrets to? On the other hand, it's my job to yap. Like what? I pitched the organ trade once, just casually. She didn't like it that much. Can't blame her, I guess. She's got lines. Me, mine's a bit blurrier. Instead, we focused on trackers, GPS mod, burner rigs, custom bugs, stuff you stick on a car or person when you want to know everything. They sold like crazy. Black market, private contracts, some guy in Russia who never gave a name. He made a killing. She's sharp, no nonsense, and way too grounded to fall into the chaos like the others did. She still thinks I'm dangerous. She's right, of course. But she keeps answering when I call. And in this line of work, that's all that matters. I'm just gonna say this. I feel like the developer knows a little too much about what goes on the darknet to, not have been there before, or at least have a friend who's been there. I'm just saying. Avon sighed thoughtfully. Tell me about your childhood friends. Xander. I met Xander when I was 4. You keep going back to Xander. Are you in love with him? Fresh off the move to Colorado. We were kids. Recess friends. He'd follow me around the playground like some sad little duck. All big eyes and scraped knees. At first, I didn't mind it. He was quiet. Easy. But kids grow. I started noticing things like how soft he was. How easy it'd be to chip away at him, so I did. You got the sense that there was more to it. He wasn't letting off for some reason. I'd shove him during dodgeball, say he cried too easy, pull his hoodie down in front of other kids. He flinched like clockwork. Eventually, I'd corner him after class, whisper things that stuck in his head for hours. No one likes you. You're just convenient. That kind of thing. Isn't that a bit much? Maybe, but I was shaping him. Doing him a favor. I'd let him sit with us one day, ignore him the next, toss him a compliment after ripping him apart. Jesus Christ, what is wrong with you? Over time, he started hanging on to every word I said. That's when I knew I had him. By high school, junior year, we weren't just friends. We were something else. We do things that make your skin crawl. Break-ins, vandalism, setups. Sometimes it was for fun. Sometimes it was for a little extra cash. Sometimes it's just to see how far we'd go. How far he'd go. And Xander, he hesitated, but he never really said no. Avon's face flickered with something wicked. Not when it mattered anyway. Oh my god, I don't like him. I really don't. We got close. Real close. Your face scrunched in confusion. What do you mean? You know, the kind of close people notice but don't question. Well, Wes did. Rambled about it all the time to Tusk, our friends, but most just whisper about it. They never question anything, and if they did, they certainly didn't say anything. I remember laughing once, thinking how no one would ever believe what we'd really done together, how deep it all went. But then shit caught up to me. After high school, I got into some mess. Jail time. Nothing permanent, but enough. When I got out, Xander was gone. Blocked my number. Changed phones. Vanished like I'd never been part of his life. And let me guess, you stalked him. Avon's grip on the blanket tightened between his fingers, nails digging back into his palm. It's... You know what's the worst part of this? 100%! Xander was some sort of ex. Xander was the last, love interest that Avon had. And we are just hearing him just, go off about his ex. God, if this hasn't turned you off yet, I don't know what to say. I don't know. He's turned me off a long time ago, but am I going to keep playing? Yes! Because I know some people love the toxic. It stung. Bad. Not because I missed him, but because I made him. You blinked once, then twice, trying to evaluate his words properly. And he had the nerve to pretend like I never existed? He looked in shock, jumping back for a moment. Avon sighed and muttered a sorry. I was pissed. Hurt, yeah, sure, but mostly angry. I let it go eventually. Got to college, started over. Kind of. Then I saw him again on campus. He looked like he'd seen a ghost. Maybe he had. I didn't rush it, just gave him space. Time. And wouldn't you know it, slowly he came back around. Maybe he could have just left him alone. Started messaging, laughing again, letting the walls drop. Same old patterns, same little ticks. Avon laughed. Tell me about your close friends. Got a little circle. Not many people know about them. Not really. Just a handful of friends, if you could call them that. They're the ones I can actually be myself around. No masks, no filters, no judgment. That shit's rare. I feel like you're going to need to take a very deep look into yourself. Some of them are worse than me, honestly, in different ways. Sick, twisted people. The kind of people who should have been locked away years ago if the world gave a damn. We've all done things no one should talk about out loud, stuff that should have landed us behind bars or 6 feet under, but it didn't. Never does. And when I was with them, I feel unchained, like the violence in my chest finally has somewhere to go. It excites me, keeps me sharp, alive, but also weirdly accepted. He laughed, not wanting to let off more than necessary. I don't talk about them too much. So, maybe another day. But I'll say this. I introduced Xander to them once. Thought maybe, just maybe, he'd fit in. That was optimistic. They scared him. Especially after that cat. No! It better not be what I'm thinking, because I would hate it if it is. Holy shit! You looked at him curiously. A cat? Yeah, we killed a cat. Right in front of... Nope. Nothing that he does from this point on will redeem him in my eyes. And the fact that he's smiling at this makes it so much worse. What the fuck? Also, Another thing, okay? I don't know what it's like for prisons in like other countries, but specifically here in Malaysia, like if they know that you basically abused an animal and that's how you ended up here, like you are going to be the absolute number one victim, and none of the gods are going to look your way. None of them. Like, I can tell you that. Avon jumped to defend himself. A mistake, really. Avon looked to the side as if he was hiding something. Xander wanted nothing to do with them after that. Avoided me for weeks. Wes, though? Wes was easier. He's wired for adrenaline. Doesn't even need a reason. If there's a rush, he's in. Tusk hated that. I always tried to keep him out of our mess. But when Tusk wasn't looking, Wes tagged along just fine. None of them. None compared to her. Renee. Met her on Twitter of all places. One of those weird, grimy late-night communities. Dark concept art, gore, the darkest, freakiest shit you could find. And she got me. She's not like the rest. I don't know what she is exactly, but I cherish her. That's not a word I use lightly. Again, so many red flags! So many! Avon hummed, a soft, genuine smile on his face. You do have friends? You're not sure what to say at first. His words hang in the air, dark and uneasy. So you do have friends. You laughed nervously. That's intense. You really don't hold back, huh? The hell is wrong with you? Interesting, not exactly surprising, though. You really don't hold back, huh? You leaned in, eyes glassed with morbid curiosity. Those friends of yours. Sounds like the kind of people who actually live. What the fuck? I mean, most people spend their lives pretending they don't have urges. It's morbidly inspiring. Morbidly inspiring, huh? Avon laughed. Yeah, but like you? I mean, it's fucked up. More than fucked up. But you intrigue me. You're like a test subject that escaped the lab. You're fascinated. Tone more analytical now. Your eyes narrow. Take him in. I don't want any part of this now. You talk about your friends like, I know, like they're monsters that lurk in the dark, kinda. And you seem to like that. I almost want to pick your brain apart, you know? See what makes you tick. Avon's eyes flickered to yours. Oh? Well, if you stick along long enough, you might just get to. Can't say you'll like what you'll see, though. Avon chuckled. As the breeze picked up, you shivered slightly. Avon glanced at you and sighed. Rolling his neck, he looked back at you. What about you, Lion? How's your friends and family? He says it like it's casual, but his eyes linger, like he's actually listening for something deeper than just small talk. Friends are good, family not so much. Family's alright, but friends not really. I got lucky, both are good. Neither have got people, but wouldn't call it good. I'm lucky. Avon laughed, but it was tight and forced. Wow. Perfect family? Perfect friends? Nope! Took a while to build that! He shook his head, still smiling. Must have had it real easy, huh? You open your mouth to respond, but he cuts in before you can. Sorry, it's just wild hearing someone say that and not be joking. He lets out a short laugh. You don't really know how awful it is, then. Lucky you. Laughing slightly to ease the tension, you decide to move the topic to something more light. You both sat on the edge of your blankets, your drink settled beside you. Avon had been talking for a while, drifting from the subject of classes into random tangents about life. You're 25, right? God, you're young. Are you still in school? Yeah, I study at Denver University. Working towards my master's now. Any good? Yeah, school's fine. I guess. You? Nice. Actually go to a community college at the moment. Saves money. How's the university? Yeah, it's cool. Lots to do, but sometimes I just ditch and go check out abandoned places, or drive around with friends. Clears my head. You laughed lightly. Which one do you actually enjoy more? Avon smirked. Both, actually. Man's gotta have hobbies other than death and whatever other illegal shit. Your smile faltered a bit at the casual way he's saying it. Avon's eyes flicked to you. He could tell you weren't exactly comfortable with the joke. Avon then sighed and leaned back, flashing a quick smile. My bad. His voice was teasing as usual, but softer now. You want to hear some poems? You raised a brow. The poems? Yeah, I got a bunch saved. Avon hummed, sitting up and already unlocking his phone. Renee's actually heard some of these before. Again, going on about your exes! You nodded and smiled. Sure then. He scrolled for what he was searching for and began reading. The first one was raw, almost uncomfortably so, about being a desperate child who always felt like an intruder in his own home. Avon searched your face for your reaction. You smiled in interest. You frowned in disapproval. Your face didn't move. I'm gonna smile. The second was darker. It was about teenage years, adrenaline-filled, defiance-ridden, and drenched in trouble. It was full of the excitement only committing a crime could give. Avon searched your face for your reaction. You smiled in interest. The third and last one felt like it was about someone older. It held the same trouble as the last, perhaps even worse, but it was heavy and reflective. Can I not snap? Avon searched your face for your reaction. I smile. When he finished the last line, his voice lingered in the air for a moment before he spoke again. I wanted to be a good person once. Maybe I was, but it was so long ago, I'm not entirely sure anymore. Yes, that's what shitty parents and no internet safety does to you. You sat there and thought, and that's when you noticed the soft patter around you. It had started to rain, the thick leaves above your heads shielding most of it. At least we're under a good tree, he muttered, as you two watched the droplets fall just past the edge of the blanket. Silence hung between you until you nudged him. Keep talking. He didn't look at you at first, but then his eyes scraped slowly to their corner, glancing over at you. You ever want to disappear? You stared in momentary shock. Kind of question is that? No, dude, what the fuck? I mean, weird question, that's for sure, but sometimes, not in a literal sense, of course, more like, just take a break from everything, a restart. I think we all need that every now and then. I mean, kinda. Things get hard sometimes. Sorry, that was probably a dark answer. Sometimes. I'm not going to read all that. I just read it. Avon looked in shock momentarily, but then smiled. You're quite thoughtful, huh? You laughed, mainly at his observation. I am? Guess it was a bit deep, huh? Avon stopped you with a small shake of his head. No, not at all. I'm actually glad you thought about it. Shows character. You looked at him, not sure if that said character was a good thing or not. Avon rolled his eyes. It's a good thing. People that show something other than surface level, that is. You thought for a moment. I get you. People can kinda just see one side of the coin without bothering to see the other. Avon smiled. It seemed genuine. More genuine than any smile throughout his entire date. The rain that splattered around you grew heavier, thunder cracking angrily in the distance. The trees that once saved you from getting your clothes soaked now did little to help filter out the rain, the blanket around you both also soaking. Fuck! Shit! Damn! Didn't think it would rain! You stood up quickly, trying to block your face from the rain. Avon looked around quickly and grabbed your arm. Come on! He swiftly pulled you underneath a stone hedge that led into what seemed to be a mausoleum. You both leaned your backs against the stone wall, catching your breath. After a few moments, you both turned to look at each other. You both couldn't help but laugh at the situation. Thanks. Quick thinking there. Yeah. Wouldn't want my, date to get wet, would I? Wringing out his hair, he took it out of his ponytail and muttered to himself. He shook his hair out and massaged his scalp, allowing the locks to fall along his shoulder, letting out a content hum. Much better. He smiled at you playfully, teasing you. You're shivering. Yeah, I guess a blanket can't do much when it's wet, can it? He laughed, pulling your arms closer to your body. If you want, I could hold on to you. We could keep each other warm, just till the rain comes down enough to walk to the car. Hold me. You suddenly feel warm already. Avon let out a guffaw at your flustered face. Yeah, hold you. Come here, and don't make it awkward. Avon pulled you closer into his chest. He was warm, and his cologne brought a sense of comfort. Same as the blanket did. It almost made you relax against your will, keeping you inhaling and steady. You didn't entirely notice it before, but despite his frame, he seemed well built. His heartbeat, despite everything, was steady. You looked up at him, and he smiled down at you. Better? Quickly, you turned your head away, bashfully. Yeah, actually, a lot warmer now. Your gaze made its way back towards him. The way his wet strands of hair clung to his neck and curtained around his face made you blush. Getting a closer look, you locked onto his eyes. They almost made you forget where you were for a moment. The way the red rings pulsed ever so slightly. It was hard not to get lost in such unique irises. You fell over your words, mouth suddenly dry. Something caught your eye? Or something on my face, Dove? His voice was soft and sultry, slipping into your ears like silk. What? Oh, Dove? Avon chuckled at your confused face. Dove. Like mourning dove. I see. Kinda seems dark, to be honest. To most. And sweet in its own way, I suppose. Avon brought his hand to your face and wiped away a stray hair that clung to it. Your cheeks are so warm. Do you like that name, Dove? What? No, I did, but that's not why. It's just that we're super close. Avon cocked his eyebrows slightly. Not used to it, Dove? You didn't say anything, and he let out a sigh. Off in thought, letting his hand find its way back to your waist. He simply stared off into the rain and back at you. When he looked back at you, he gave you a gentle smile. It was the kind of smile that could melt someone's heart, and it did. Yours flustered as you two sat together under the rough patter of rain. He rested your head gently against his chest. The steady rhythm of his heartbeat filled your ears as a yawn slipped out. The limbs on your body had grown heavy, rubbing your eyes. Your thoughts moved slower and slower. You hadn't realized just how tired you were after such a long conversation. Avon's eyes softened as he shifted, lowering you both against the stone floor of the mausoleum, letting you rest against him. He sighed in thought, glancing down at you as your eyelids grew heavy. It's fine to nap. I'll wake you up once the rain clears, so don't worry about it, okay? You nodded tiredly, and finally allowed sleep to take you. As you slept, Avon muttered to himself in thought. I like you. Kinda. In a weird way, I guess. I can keep you around, see what you're about. He laughed quietly to himself. Congratulations to you, I guess. Interesting enough to keep around. At least you weren't boring. He leaned his head back against the cold stone wall, eyes drifting shut for a moment. You really are lucky, you know, Lion. You just don't know. Time passed. When you stirred awake, Avon was gently shaking your shoulder. Your eyes fluttered open. Outside the mausoleum, the rain had slowed to a drizzle. Slept well, Dove? You yawned, stretching as you sat up. Yeah, I guess the conversation and the rain really put me to sleep. It's not that you're boring or anything. Your voice is just soothing. Sorry about that. Avon chuckled, offering you his hand to help you up. All good. He pulled out his phone, checking the time inside. It's getting pretty late, huh? Guess I should drive you home. He guided you by the hand back towards the soaked picnic spot, collecting a few snacks and handing them to you. For the ride. Wait, what about the rest of the stuff? Avon glanced over his shoulder and shook his head with a smile. I'll come clean it up later. Let's just worry about getting you home for now, okay? He nodded, following him down the path to the entryway of the cemetery. Back at his car, he stashed the snacks, then opened the door for you. As you settled inside with a sigh, he slipped into the driver's seat. Before starting the car, he pulled out a long switchblade and placed it casually on the control panel. Your eyes widened in shock slightly at the sight of the blade. Did you always have that? He buckled his seatbelt, glancing between the knife and you. Yeah, kept it on me in case anything bad happens. He had a habit, really. You laughed nervously, trying to poke fun as he started the car. Did you think I was some sort of serial killer here to take your organs or something? Avon gave you a once-over and let out a short laugh as he pulled out of the lot. You? Not a million years. You giggled as the car rolled down the empty streets towards your house. The ride was full of chatter and jokes as Avon held your free hand in his, rubbing small circles of your hand with his thumb. Before long, you stood outside your place. Avon got out too, grabbing his jacket and leaning against his car to watch as he walked up to your door. Thanks for the date and, for driving me home. Avon grinned playfully, rolling his eyes. Of course. Sorry to get you wet, though. You glanced down at your damp clothes and shrugged. A little rain never killed anybody. Guess you're right. Well, tonight, it was nice. I'll let you get inside and settled. He nodded with a smile, turning on your heel, but before you could step away, his hand caught your wrist, gently, turning you back around. Hello? Before you could ask what was wrong, he leaned in and pressed a small kiss on your cheekbone before pulling away with a fond smile. Thank you for the day tonight. Have a good night, Duff. You stammered, cheeks hot. You too. Blushing, you watched him head back towards his car, but before getting in, he glanced back at you with a small grin. Until next time? You smiled and nodded quickly. Yeah. He waved you off, and you slipped inside, shutting the door behind you. You smiled to yourself. The date wasn't half bad. A little creepy, sure, but not half bad. I think 3 out of 4. Until next time. To be continued! Okay. Looking forward to that. Okay, as a heads up, we're not going through all the endings for this video. We are only going through the love ending and the really bad ending. And for that, I'm going to tell him that I really love lo-fi. We've already seen all this. And say like, hell yeah, I love the cemetery. Avon giggled, proud of his choice. I like your energy. I think it's romantic in a mysterious, spooky sort of way. Think about it. Peaceful, quiet, no crowds, just vibes. Alone. Is he flirting? He's flirting! Okay. I avert my eyes, feeling heat rise up to my cheeks. I grew a bashful smile. I change my mind when you say it like that. He snickered, taking notice of your flushed face. Oh, you don't mean that. You giggled. Yeah, great date idea. Just us and a bunch of dead people. Okay, skipping right through. Of course I'm going to take his hand. Okay, and let's see. Nope. Yeah, sounds pretty cool, honestly. Yeah, totally. It's so cool. You're so cool to me. And I believe juice is his choice. Juice sounds good. You grab a can of juice and raise a brow at the label. Is this blood orange? Avon lights up slightly, clearly pleased. Of course. On theme, right? And some extras when a friend was over at my place. He takes his own juice can and clinks it against yours. Cheers to sugar. Okay, he's taking a sip of his drink, and we're gonna skip through, and I'm gonna take his pastries, because clearly he loves that. Oh, wait, what? Hang on. Look, I'm gonna need to go back just a moment. What's your go? Wait, hold up. Sweet candy, that's the one that's calling to me. Yeah. You reach for a small pile of bright sugary candy and pop one into your mouth. Avon's eyes light up with something between approval and mischief. Good choice. Sweet's the best. Plus, I brought like 3 extra bags, so have at it. As time passed, you ate snacks and spoke about various things and skipped right through. Honestly fascinating. Okay, you're a hot Grim Reaper. You are a hot Grim Reaper. And I know that you love it. Born and raised boring, I know. Wouldn't you like to know, Grave Boy? Wouldn't you like to know, Grave Boy? Avon nearly spits up his drink and laughs, amused. Did you just quote a meme? He snickers. Damn, Grave Boy. Cute. I'm flattered. You glance at him, and his eyes are already on you. Mischief there, but something else too. Something searching. Strange, isn't it? Yes, very strange. Normal's overrated. Okay, skipping right through, and next up, okay, we are going to ask about all his friends, and he's going to tell us all about the various people he's, like, really into. That's intense. What the hell's wrong with you? Interesting, not exactly surprising. I think, like, the top one is, the way to go. I like that. It's actually kind of... You trailed off, thinking for a moment. Attractive in a way? Your voice was low, almost a whisper, like you were afraid to admit it out loud. I mean, okay, not the cat thing, that's pretty fucking insane. But the rest of it, the chaos, your control, the way people listen to you. I don't know, it's messed up, sure, but... You tilt your head, smiling just slightly. I don't know why I'm smiling. You let out a nervous little laugh, cheeks flushing as you shift in place, your fingers curling slightly into your sleeves. You just said some really disturbing shit, and here I am. Heart racing like I've got a crush or something. Your voice dropped, half disturbed, half honest as you looked away. God, that's messed up, isn't it? Avon stared at you with an unwavering smile, giving you a once-over. Yeah, it is. Avon leaned in closer to you. One of his hands lifted, just slightly, like it was deciding if he should touch you or not. His eyes flicked to your lips, then back up as he smiled. I like you. You're interesting. Finally pressing his hand into the soft curve of your cheek, he felt the slight tremble of your body through his arm. It amused him, his lips pulling into a tighter smile and voice dipping into a soft hum. You're so scared. Nervous. His hand finally settled gently at the side of your neck, thumb brushing just under your jaw, pulling your gaze back into his. And yet, you're drawn in. His smile widened. You could have sworn you saw hearts forming in his eyes. I'm a bad, bad man. He breathed for a moment. But I think you like that, don't you? The heat on your face rose as you found yourself mere inches away from his breath, brushing your lips. Instinctively pulling away, you laughed frantically. Avon chuckled at your reaction and settled back onto the blanket. As the breeze picked up, you shivered slightly. Okay, what was I supposed to go with this? I don't think it matters. I've got people, wouldn't call it good. I got people, but wouldn't call it good. Avon looked at you for a long moment. Something in his expression shifts, like piqued interest. My friends, they were never really my friends. They used me pretty often, kind of talked behind my back. Just toxic overall. Family isn't any better either. They never really gave me any grace. Every small mistake was like 1,000 sins in their eyes. Living with that was... You trailed off. He spoke softly. That's awful, really. He leans in, just slightly, his hand brushing against your knee, then to your face. Can't imagine why anyone would put you through that. You just seem so genuine, you know? His gaze lingers, then drops briefly to your lips before looking away. You shouldn't have to go through stuff alone. You should have a supportive family. A friend that genuinely cares for you. He smiles warmly, brows tying together softly. I would always be there for you, you know? Or more if you're into that. I mean, this is a date, isn't it? You laugh softly, not quite expecting the warmth rising in your chest. Maybe. Yeah. Kinda like to see where this leads. Avon's eyes gleam. Pleased. Not surprised, but pleased. He pulls away, but keeps his distance. Of course, even if no one is there for you. I will. Promise. He shifts a bit closer, the edge of his thigh now pressed to yours. I think I'd like that. His hand, still resting on your knees, moves in slow, idle circles. He spoke quietly, as if the dead could hear him, smiling gently. Good. I was hoping you'd say that. I'd always keep you safe. Laughing slightly to ease the tension, you decide to move the topic to something more light. Okay, let's skip through. I smile. Weird question. Okay, this still gets a good point with him. Oh, shit. When he looked back at you, there seemed to be more rings in his eyes, much more than before. They were still steady, however, so maybe you were imagining things. A wide smile sat on his face. You know, I really enjoyed spending time with you tonight. So did I! Avon giggled and sighed, look at you with something like relief. You just seemed to really listen. I was happy to hear about your life as well, you know. I don't get to open up much without being judged. I like that about you. You don't judge. You listen. Even if it was a lot for a first date. You laughed along with him as he pulled you in closer. I don't mind. It's a breath of fresh air, kinda. And you're a pretty interesting person. It was great hearing your story, even if it was a bit dark or heavy. I'm glad you think so. You two stared into each other's eyes. His grip around your waist tightened slightly. Not saying a word, you just focused on the other, faces an inch apart. You didn't know what made you gravitate towards him. Maybe it was the mystery. Maybe you just liked standing so close to something dangerous. Your heartbeat raced. You didn't understand why, but the feeling was there. He must have caught on to your thoughts because, even though you weren't expecting it, it was what you wanted. Deep down, even if you tried to deny, he seemed to know. He gently pulled you in, making your heart pound so loud you were sure he could hear it. Then all at once, he caught your mouth in his, reckless and trembling. Your eyes shot open in shock. At first, the kiss was gentle and soft, like a first crush, innocent even. You melted into it, closing your eyes and letting it continue, the feeling devouring you whole. But it shifted. It grew hungry. His lips crashed harder against yours, pressing you back against the cold stone. Your lips parted, letting him in. His trembling hand slid up to your jaw, pulling you in deeper. Lion. Your name left his lips in a gasp, kiss becoming messy and frantic, bordering desperation and near obsession. His heated breath brushed roughly against your skin as the kiss deepened with his hunger, making your breath catch. It was feverish, the way his teeth bit your lips, demanding further entrance. It was as if he wanted to eat you alive. When he pulled away, he was breathing hard, a shaky breath escaping him. The rings in his eyes pulsed rapidly, bright in the dim light. Fuck. You caught your breath as he stared at your face. I really like you. I really like you too, Avon. Avon's face darkened. The smile widened in a way that didn't settle right in your chest. Yeah? You nodded slowly, still drunk off the heated kiss. I'd like to keep you. It's you myself. Forever. You wouldn't have to worry about a thing anymore. I'd take care of you, and you wouldn't even have to lift a single finger. Ever. A hitch of his breath passed his throat, giddy but real. The world doesn't need you. It doesn't deserve you. Heat rose to your face at his words. Keep me? Forever? Like a date? No. Confusion washed over you. Didn't he just confess? No, but didn't you just say you liked me? I did say that, didn't I? That's why I'm so sorry for this, Dove. I'm just simply never letting you go. Oh, no! You tried to ask another question, but the sudden sharp pain in your back caused you to gasp for air, making your legs freeze and paralyze. You look below you, blood pooling directly beneath your feet. Huffing and clinging reflexively onto the man in front of you, Avon pushed his long switchblade deeper into your spine and into your body. Thousands of questions flooded your mind as shock and fear suddenly filled your senses. You tried to scream, but as Avon pulled his blade out, blood filled your throat, choking you. Clutching desperately onto your chest, you staggered and nearly fell before Avon caught you. Shh. You're making such a mess, my dove. Your eyes locked with his, focusing on his hands and face as he gripped onto your last breaths of life. His eyes pulsed rapidly at your desperation, giving him a rush of adrenaline and overwhelming love. Avon unlocked your tight hands from his shirt and held them lovingly, smiling as the life slowly drained from your eyes. He was smiling. Tears well up as unconsciousness threatens to take you. His breath quickened as he held you, thumb wiping your tears away. You're right. I did say I liked you. But no. I feel a lot more than that. I love you, Lion. He grinned, bringing your now heavy, lolling head to his, placing a single kiss on your lips. This time, he didn't close his eyes. No. His eyes burned into yours the whole time as your life slowly slipped away and you were nothing more than an empty husk. Pulling away, he allowed your body to drop to the ground and wiped off his lips. Looking around the entry of the mausoleum, he sighed heavily. Fuck. I have to clean this. A week has passed now, and Avon has successfully gotten rid of all evidence connected to your death. It was part of his profession, after all. What kind of criminal would he be otherwise? He got rid of everything, but not of you. No, he kept you. And he planned to, for as long as possible. It's what he promised, right? He kept your body cold, slowing the decaying process at the morgue, the same morgue connected to the cemetery you died at. You were an amazing listener, and you just get him. One of the many things that made him like you so much. But with that, you easily let your guard down. He liked that. He liked easy targets like you. He spoke to you at times, told you about his day, ranted about coworkers, and practiced his studies, all between him, completing his assigned work with autopsies and embalming through his day-to-day. There were only 2 cameras throughout the entire building, one at the front door and another where money was held. Awful security. Neither of which he passed through during his day-to-day, and given his time there, no one really questioned the presence of another body or two. Avon sighed as he glanced over at your body on the autopsy table. He dressed you nicely and kept you looking well, taking care of you just as he said he would. Just like a doll. Taking off his gloves, he hauled your rigid body against the wall and laid his arms along the metal table. Are you excited for tonight? Of course he couldn't respond. You were dead! We're going to celebrate. He giggled and held your hand, massaging the stiff limb from its cold state. I decided to take you for dinner. There's a small restaurant I rented out in the outskirts of town. Don't you worry about any pesky cameras. They won't find you. With a gentle kiss on your hand, he grinned to himself. If they do, which they won't, you'll already be cremated and food for fish at the bottom of the lake, huh? He giggled to himself. Imagine that, looking for a pile of ashes. He stared into your closed eyes and sighed, letting go of the cold limb. Oh, don't look at me like that. It's not happening anytime soon. Avon couldn't help it, but lean in, bringing his fingers to lift and close your eyelids. Doll. He closed in and swept your eyes down once more with a single finger. Dolly. Avon couldn't help himself from lifting each of your arms up and swinging them back and forth, the same way a child would do to a life-size doll. With a childish giggle, he nuzzled his nose against your empty husk. He hummed at his own antics and straightened with that same sickening smile. I'll get the car ready. The ride was long, and the car was kept freezing cold. But you two made it eventually. Him and you. Oh, well, your corpse. He sat across from you and smiled as he drank his champagne slowly. God, this is fun, isn't it? Just you and I. Not a camera inside at this place. He enjoyed his food, speaking with you, asking you questions. It was truly a one-sided conversation. But he smiled happily, enjoying his time with you, even if you were dead. Drinking the rest of the champagne, he tilted his head at you. Aw, you hardly touched your food. He sat up, grabbed his coat, and pulled it over his shoulders. Walking over to your side of the table, he leaned over to your ear and whispered as if you could ever hear him. But it's not like you ever could, huh? He grinned, eyes pulsing manically. He wasn't delusional, of course. He knew you were dead. But he fully intended to make every moment that much more fun for himself. You really are like a doll, Dove. He giggled, eyes becoming half-lidded as his nerves calmed. Come on, let's go home. Ending 1 out of 4. Well, 4 out of 4. Love you to death. Alright, for the last ending, all we gotta do is just piss him off all the way through, so I don't really like lo-fi. Avon's face flickered for a moment before returning to normal. He didn't seem to like that answer. Oh. You chuckled to ease his disappointment. Honestly, you'd be surprised how many people only listen to it for studying or background noise. Apparently, I'm one of those people. Yeah. Why are you taking me to a goddamn cemetery? I'm gonna make a sarcastic joke. Yeah, I'm good. No sacrificial dagger through to go with the, vibe? Disappointed. Avon cleared his throat with a tight smile, eyebrow twitching. You left it at home this time. Rookie mistake. He mumbled the last part under his breath. For a moment, you wondered if he really did have a sacrificial dagger. And here I thought was being romanced by a proper spooky gentleman. You chuckled at your own joke, trying to lighten the mood. Avon sighed, rolling his... God, he looked so pissed! Rolling his eyes. He was getting tired of your sarcastic remarks. You're gonna get a whole lot of this throughout the night. Sorry if it's not fancy enough. Not everyone gets exactly excited about candlelit rooftop dinners, you know? You frowned at his condescending tone. I was joking. You take a few steps away from him, something Avon takes notice of but doesn't comment on. Yeah, sure. I know. It's just kind of sounded like you'd rather be anywhere else. You didn't mean to upset him. Not like this, at least, but now there's a weird edge to the air. The humor doesn't land like it usually does. Somewhere in the distance, you hear the sharp caw of a crow, making the cemetery suddenly feel colder than before. We can go if you want. He started with an irritated edge to his voice. Nah, it's fine. Sorry. You fawned, trying to make the situation easier. You didn't want to make him more upset. Well, that's actually what I'm trying to do right now. You two continued to walk along the gravel path. I know. Oh, that's boring. I mean, quirky. Yeah. You mockingly dragged out the last word, completed with a set of imaginary jazz hands. Avon laughed. It was sharp, more like a scoff than one of amusement. Cute. Real cute. It was meant to be harmless, a joke. But there's a shift in his tone. Subtle and quick, but not completely lost. He looks at you, still smiling, but his eyes look like they're searching for something. You both fall silent as the air grows tighter. But it was like he was waiting for you to say the wrong thing again. And, well, you don't have to wait for too long. All right. Whatever kept him interested. Which you definitely were not doing. Decided to change the topic. I skipped right through. Okay. I'm going to go with the energy drink because you clearly hate that. I'm going with the sour candy. You pick up one of the sour candies and toss it into your mouth. Your jaw clenches immediately, and Avon watches with mischievous delight. Fuck, those are sour! Man, is it good though. I love watching people suffer through those. I have no clue how people do it. Even laughed at your pain. Okay, yep, snacks, whatever. Let's see. That's sort of a weird thing to be into, not gonna lie. I'm not gonna read that again. Avon's smile stayed, but the temperature dropped a bit. His eyes locked onto yours just a little too long. Weird isn't always a bad thing, Lion. But I get it. Most people don't like looking too close at the things that make them squirm. It's human nature. He breathes out, as if releasing tension. Even if they see a bit of themselves in it. You weren't exactly sure what he meant by that. Yeah, whatever. Whatever, pretty boy! Now give me a smooch! I clearly deserve it. Born and raised. Yeah, and it's boring. Well, I don't think you're so bad. Abnormal is refreshing. Don't you want to be normal? Do you want to be normal? Avon tilts his head, caught off guard. Not by the question, but how seriously you're asking it. I used to. When I was younger. I was so desperate back then. So you gave up. Avon laughed silently. Maybe. It was easier that way. But hey, I'm damn good at hiding it. You two sat in silence for a moment, and we skipped through, and then I guess I'm asking about all your friends, all of them, like all of them. And yeah, you have all the friends. The hell is wrong with you? You recoil, disgust written all over your face. You killed a cat and thought that was okay? His smile falters, brow twitching as his eyes narrow just slightly. He was dying anyway. You don't know the full story. You fucking let Xander around those people. Then you have the nerve to talk about him like some toy? His jaw clenched as he sat up. He laughs, short, sharp, and joyless. Xander wanted to be there. He could have just said no, Lion. That's the thing. Like, people which you've manipulated for this long don't really know that no is an option, my dude. Avon rolled his eyes dismissively. Except he couldn't. It sounded like you didn't give him a choice. You've never given him a choice. Avon goes to speak, but you're quicker, if only by a second. And don't even get me started on the shit with West. He could have been fine, but you just... He cuts in, voice suddenly louder, tone defensive. I just what, huh? West made his own choices. I didn't hold a gun to his head. I wouldn't be surprised if you did. And who knows if your connection with Renee is even real? Avon's eyes stares daggers into yours. If looks could truly kill, you'd be as dead as the bodies beneath the soil by now. Your tone evens, steady. Look, I don't care what you've been through. There's just no excuse. No better that you're all so casual about it. You glance away, bringing your knees into your body. His mouth opens, but nothing comes out. He stares at you, as if he's seeing you differently now. He whispers under his breath with a snarl. Quickly, your head snapped back to meet his gaze. What? You think you're better than me? Huh. You stared at him in disbelief, weighing your words. Suddenly, this felt a lot less like an argument and more like your life was in danger. You decided to take things more easy. This was a date after all, and you didn't want your name ending up on some shitty true crime podcast. I didn't say that. That's not... No. I get you had to make cash, went through some shit. I get that. But don't we all? Avon let out a breath from his nose bitterly. For a moment, you could have sworn you saw the black rings within his eyes contract. It's just, I don't know. You need help, Avon. Truly you do! There was a pause of silence, a long one. He turns his face away from you, expression unreadable at first. That was until his jaw tightens. His gaze drops to the floor. cold and calculating. When he looks up again, it's not at you, it's through you, like something behind his eyes clicked. So that's what you think. Yes! Then he smiles. He doesn't say another word, just stares, breathing, slow, eyes sharp. Like he was thinking, plotting. As the breeze picked up, you shivered slightly, and yeah, everything's good. Yeah, both are good. I'm pretty sure you hate that. I frown and disapprove. I frown. And now, I mean, no, dude, what the fuck? What kind of question is that? No. He smiled at your defensiveness. It seemed to have amused him. The smile alone made you uncomfortable, and he seemed to have noticed. Come on now. It was a joke. Well, I wanted that. Nothing more. No need to get so catty. Yeah, but who asked that on a date? That's some serial killer shit. He looked away thoughtfully, a smile still on his face. Maybe. Okay, yep, here comes the rain, and this is where I die. His face fell. Completely unreadable, though there was a faint edge of irritation in the way his jaw tightened. He forced out a sigh with a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. You know, I've been trying this whole time, all right? He sucked his teeth, thinking, but just feels like you're not, or maybe you could never really get me. You froze, caught off guard by the sudden shift in attitude. Like you hate me or something. You get it? Everything I say, you shut down, or twist, or just... He clicked his tongue, letting out a dry, humorless laugh. We just have different opinions on things, my dude. Nothing wrong with that. You wonder why he was so upset. Maybe it's the fact that I just kept calling him out for all his bullshit. Truthfully, the date had already gone sour. You just wanted it to end. Go home, maybe block his number the second you walk through your door. Desperation had dragged you into this mess, and now you wish you'd left earlier. Man, tell me about it. He smiled tightly at you. Yeah, they say opposites attract, don't they? From the corner of your eye, you caught something glinting in the moonlight. Your chest tightened. What was that? Too bad. I'm not the kind of person they're talking about. Catching a glimpse of the glint, you instinctively stumbled back as it made its way towards you. Avon's face turned irritated, no, angry, as the rings in his eyes pulsed rapidly. How are your eyes doing that? He glanced down at what he was holding, recognizing it as a long switchblade. What the fuck? Your heart hammered rapidly in your chest, breath becoming uneven and jagged. What the fuck is going on? Avon's chest rose and fell with adrenaline as his once angry face twisted into a manic smile. Waiting no longer, he lunged at you, making you roll out of the way and onto the rough stone pavement. Damn it! Hearing Avon's sharp snarls of frustration, you scrambled to your feet and bolted outside the mausoleum. You ran through the maze of trees and tombstones, your breath ragged as the cemetery swallowed you whole. Heavy, rapid footsteps pounded after you, closing the gap. Oh, you really think you can run away from me? His voice was low but loud. You tried desperately not to slip, every muscle screaming at you to keep moving. Your mind spun with 1,000 thoughts, each one sharper than the last. You shouldn't have gone on a date with a guy you barely knew, especially not at night. You should have told at least someone where you were going, but no. Now the only thing you wanted was to curl up into a hole and cry. Maybe one of these many graves. There are many holes to cry into. Instead, you pushed your body forward, forcing your way through the unfamiliar graveyard in a blind attempt to find the exit. You thought you remembered where it was, but even if you made it out, then what? He had a car. You didn't. You couldn't outrun him all the way back to town, could you? The city wasn't far, not really. You were in the middle of Denver, for fuck's sake. But the nearest major buildings were half a mile away, their glowing windows hidden by the distance. Smaller shops, side streets, parks. They had to be closer. If you were lucky, you might stumble into someone, anyone. But was it too late? Would anyone even be out at this hour? Oh shit! Go on! Keep fucking running! I hope you know I'll find you. Like I always do! Like he always does? What the fuck does he mean? He did this to other people? It's actually kind of cute how desperate you are! His voice swung into a high giggle, voice rasping between breaths. You're pathetic! He spoke like it was all a game to him. Maybe it was. He sounded way too happy for it not to be, and the way he smiled at you before you ran sent shivers down your spine. You thought fast, finally approaching the exit. Where would you go? You couldn't just run down the roads until you had to go where he couldn't see you. The trees! You could go through the trees! You made a sharp turn as you exited, stunning Avon for a second as he looked around for where you could have gone. This gave you time to sneak into the trees that surrounded the cemetery and make way towards the city. You ran through, hoping that the rain would filter your footsteps. I know you're somewhere in here! He laughed with glee as he heard the crunch of his own feet from the distance. Come on. Don't hide. You stopped running and stood, paralyzed in fear. Every nerve in your body screamed to turn around just to see how far he was, but you forced your eyes forward, scared that the single action alone would make all your efforts go to waste. So you kept going, but slowly. You made slow footsteps, shoe crunching against twigs and leaves towards what sounded like a busy street. You made good progress too, hope filling your chest as you inched closer and closer to safety. Occasionally, Avon would taunt you, his mere presence make you feel dizzy. You just wished it was over. The street wasn't too far now, just 3 yards or so away, and... You writhed in pain as you fell into a drop near what looked like a small pond and a crashed truck. You fell onto a branch and clutched your back in pain as you cried out, the stream of water failing miserably at muffling your sounds of pain. You wonder if Avon heard you, but you didn't hear anything. Hopefully not. You lay there for a moment, taking in your surroundings, catching a glimpse of the path that led upward to the busy street just ahead. All you had to do was get up and get to the road. It was so close now. Safety was so close now. Trying to stand, you winced in pain, your ankle throbbing from your fall. But you had to push through. You had to. Wobbling in pain towards the path, you heard a shift behind you. Before you even had the chance to look, you were quickly tripped and your ankle was stomped on as you fell. Rolling onto your back as you cried, you saw Avon loom over you. Avon smiled as he breathed heavily and trapped you below him, placing both legs on either side of you. He giggled in delight, quick and breathy, as he took in the horrified expression on your face. Come on, running away from a date? That's not very nice, Dove. Leaning down to meet your nose with his, he watched closely as tears streamed down your face, amused at your pathetic attempt to wriggle away. Blade in hand, he grabbed both your wrists and held you in place. Let me go! Someone, please! He feigned a sympathetic look before taking his tongue and dragging it slowly along your tear-stained cheek. You whimpered at the feeling, sick to your stomach, before scrambling out from his grip. You somehow managed to flip onto your stomach, trying desperately to crawl away, but it was no use. Avon simply laughed and drove its blade into your calf. Crying out from the sun-searing pain, you instinctively tried to hold your leg, but were quickly reminded of the circumstances. So you kept crawling, praying to any god that was there. Please, God, anyone, help me! You whimpered out as you pulled yourself to the path. Avon simply trailed behind you, slowly, before yanking the blade out of your calf and pinning you to the ground once more. He yanked your head back quickly, by your hair, just enough so that you could look him in the eye. There was an uncanny number of rings in his eyes, pulsing in and out at rapid speeds. There is no God here, you silly little thing. Avon's voice dragged somewhere between a laugh and a snarl before suddenly cutting. Avon closed the distance between you and whispered against your ear while pressing his bloody blade against your neck. But you sure made this game exciting for me, didn't you, Dove? He smiled. But playtime is over. The expression on his handsome face dropped before dragging his knife sharply against your neck. Oh, shit! Blood spilled out in thick streams before you could even say a word, the thick liquid choking your airways as you tried to grasp desperately at the pain as if it would change a thing. He flipped you over as he spat at you through gritted teeth. I hate you, you know? He smiled thinly as his eyes bore into yours. But I'll like you a lot more once you're dead and silent, where you can't say shit, you morally superior fuck. Your consciousness faded in and out as he continued to bleed from your neck, sputtering and choking beneath him. That's right. Bleed out, you bitch. Heading 2 out of 4. I hate you to death. So that was Date at the Cemetery. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys do want to play this for yourselves, link to the game will be in the description below. We will be back with Chapter 2 once it's been released, and we will be continuing on from like the earlier route, which we actually got onto, which I hope that makes sense for any of you who are watching in the future. But for those of you who are watching it at the time of its release, I generally hope you guys enjoyed this. Like, Avon is like not morally gray at all. He's just fucked. I absolutely hate him, and genuinely, like, I feel like, for me at least, my canon ending will be when he kills me because he freaking hates me, because ain't no way I would actually like deal with a guy like him. I hope this fulfills like whatever freaky desire you had. But anyway, thank you all so much for watching. Hope you all have a lovely rest of the day, and as always, I'll be seeing you in the next video. This is Lion, signing off. Ciao.